At the break, it is 61-61. The Kings and the Mavs. No Jerry tonight, so we take you through halftime and the post-game show. To me, the story in the first half is the carelessness of the Kings handling the ball. Way too many turnovers, points off turnovers, really favoring Dallas. That's got to get better in the second half. And we've talked about this. The fact that the Kings do not have a point guard, a true point guard, it really is showing its face.
100%, Grant. If you are not an isolation player, you can't play with this starting lineup. You just can't. That's why Keegan Murray has no shots here in the first half.
I mean, that's unbelievable to me. No shots. And here's the issue. The trade deadline is in our rear view mirror. You might be able to pick someone up off the waiver wire, but right now, with the schedule that the Kings have upcoming after the All-Star break, I think they got real problems with this roster because of the fact that they don't have a true point guard. And Ryan, you've mentioned this, and we've talked about this. Kings haven't had a real true point guard in many years, and I don't understand how Monte McNair can continually put together a team without a point guard.
Yeah, it's interesting now because Monk's role, Grant, has changed a little bit. He's trying to create. He has 7 assists in the first half, but he shoots the ball poorly, 2 of 8. So you're asking him to score a little bit more as well. It's the missing element for this team, and I don't know if I'm going to worry quite yet. I'm going to let the rest of this half play out, but Zach LaVine's decision-making with the basketball IQ is getting me really, really worried. He is the reason for many of those turnovers just on careless plays and grenades passed to players in situations where they can't make a play because of poor spacing.
3 turnovers for Zach in the first half. And you got to remember, Dallas is decimated on their front line, and yet they still have more points in the paint than Sacramento, which to me is mind-boggling.
Yeah, Grant, what's mind-boggling about this game, DeMar pretty much cancels out the Kings' deficit because of points off of turnovers. The Kings' defense has actually not been that bad. It looks bad because they're not communicating. There's so many miscommunications. That is exactly how Dinwiddie got going, hits a couple threes, downhill from there. Same thing with Clay. So this is actually a very winnable game, Grant, for the Kings, if they can just handle their side of the fence.
Of course, it's very winnable because Dallas has half their team not playing. I mean,
Correct.
That's the reality of the situation. I would be nervous because Kyrie Irving has not gone off yet. And if Kyrie Irving puts his team on his shoulders, the Mavs, in my opinion, will win this game.
He's not made much of an effort, no. And the times that he has scored, it has not been very difficult. You've got to find a way. They're trapping him here and there. Maybe throw a little zone, as Jerry Reynolds likes to say, at the Mavericks. Slow them down because they are not known for their three-point shooting.
Again, 3 games, including tonight, remaining in this road trip with 2 games coming up against New Orleans, who's getting just blown out against Oklahoma City. Boy, let's talk about the Mavs for a minute. Can you imagine being a Dallas fan and going through losing one of the most iconic players of his generation, even though he's only 25? I think we can say that. I think Luke is one of the most iconic players. You don't have him anymore. He's making his debut tonight. And the guy you traded for that is the only hope you have of being good plays very well through 2.5 quarters.
Yeah.
You end up beating Houston. He gets hurt after the game. He says he's fine, not a big deal, which is a bunch of crap. Talks about the future and how good it's going to be defensively and how the Mavs are going to be really good. And then it's announced he's out for at least several weeks. What a disaster.
I cannot imagine. I mean, the roller coaster with him playing well too through those 2.5, 3 quarters. It's tough, but yet, Grant, the Mavericks still have a chance. They've got talented bigs. Now you got to keep an eye on whether Gafford stays out for a while with that hyperextension. But man, it's a tough place to be in. And I guess here's the wild card. Can Luka stay on the court, Grant? It might cancel each other out for all we know.
Unbelievable. So 61-61 at the half. You got New Orleans coming up with 2 games. You're only at 500, right? Mm-hmm. And you look at the West right now, and you look at the Warriors. They are playing in Milwaukee, and that game is tied in the 3rd. So we'll know the outcome of that game before the Kings game is in the books. All right, so you keep an eye on that. I'm not really worried about the Spurs, even though they won tonight. Maybe I should be. Cleveland beat Minnesota 128-107. Keep in mind, the Kings have not played the Cavs yet. They got 2 games with them.
Yep, they're part of that brutal home stretch for the Kings, your longest home stretch of the second half of the season. But first, it's one game at a time. Get to this deadline or get to this All-Star break 2-1 for this trip.
Yep.
2-1. I'm happy.
Yep.
Grant, thoughts on Domas not being voted in as a replacement for Anthony Davis?
Real quickly, where am I from? Look at the screen.
Syosset.
Very good. Syosset.
Yes.
I'm very good. Wow.
You remember the first time I said it? That's why I did it that way. I'm like, Syos.
I think it is an absolute embarrassment. It is so disgraceful that you replace a big with a guard. Okay.
Right.
I don't ever recall that happening like this. They did the same thing. Trae Young made the All-Star team too. What the hell is Adam Silver doing? This is his choice. Does Adam Silver know that Sacramento has a franchise? I'm not even like joking now. Does Adam Silver realize? Does Adam Silver know who Domantas Sabonis is? Like, how is it that Kyrie Irving gets added to replace a big over a guy that most that cover the NBA that I've read in the last week and listened to, the quote unquote experts are all like going, how did Sabonis not make the team? And then there's an opening and you take Kyrie Irving. It's a disgrace.
Well, and here's the other part of it. You want the All-Star game to be competitive, right, Adam? You want it to be good basketball. Domas is the guy you want in there. I know it's not the sexy guy like Kyrie that plays the flashy style, but just throw a couple of those guards out there. They'll shoot you 30, 40 more threes in that game, and you're going to be completely fine with your 4-team system. It's idiotic.
Well, it's about, do you deserve it or not?
But Grant, he's not thinking that way.
Deserves to be on, huh?
He's not thinking that way. All he's thinking about is, how do I make this All-Star game appealing? And quite frankly, Domantas Sabonis is not that player in an All-Star game.
You're right. You're 100% correct. And that's what's wrong with the league. Right there in a nutshell.
Agree with you. If I'm Sabonis, second year in a row, by the way, he'll probably be some form of All-NBA this year after it's all said and done, after guys don't hit that 65 game mark. Sabonis on his way. It's just a disgrace.
Incredible. All right. What do you think happens in this second half?
I think the Kings clean it up. I think it's going to be close. They're going to have to get somebody else going, whether it's off the bench or it's Keegan Murray. But I think the Kings end up winning this one. I'm going to say 116-115.
All right. I think the Mavs are going to win this game 114-112.
All right. What's your X factor for the second half?
I think Kyrie Irving is going to go off, and because he looked very nonchalant in the first half. I don't see DeRozan being able to do what he did. I do think the Kings will be better with taking care of the basketball, but I think Kyrie Irving will be the difference in this game.
All right. I see you. It's going to be a Kyrie and, Zach LaVine quits turning the ball over. I think that's going to help tremendously. But I think we agree, DeMar's going to have to keep it going, especially if Monk doesn't show up.
Yeah. You look at LaVine, he played 16 minutes, 6 of 12, but 3 bad turnovers, right?
Grant, 3 is being so friendly.
I know.
It's so friendly. There's 2 or 3 team ones that are on his hands as well. But yeah, just no sense of spacing. And maybe that comes down to not being with guys, not having practice time. But I got to think Zach's a little bit brighter when it comes to the IQ of just basketball 101. It was not there, at least in this first half.
Now, the other aspect that would make me lean towards Sacramento in the second half, like you just did, even though I picked Dallas, I can't imagine Keegan Murray being shut out in the second half. He should probably end up with double figures in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And here's the other thing. I don't see the Kings only shooting 4 free throws in the second half. They only shot 4 this half, and they were taking it to the hoop. I thought Zach got a bad whistle, so I think that gets better here in the second half.
All right, so 61-61. We'll have the post-game show coming up for you right after with your phone calls. I want to talk about the Kings defense again in the first quarter. It's a repetitive pattern. They gave up 35 points, and we keep on talking about the starting lineup. I mean, how many games can Doug Christie watch his team give up 30-plus points on almost a nightly basis in the first quarter? I mean, you're behind the eight ball before you really get warmed up. Think about this. They were down 35-27 at the end of the first quarter. 35 points to a team without Davis and everyone else is just way too many points.
Well, he did a different substitution pattern tonight. He took Monk out instead of Levine in that Fox spot. Grant, just really quick, since we have a minute without Jerry, it's this was the miscommunication in the first half. This was a simple play. It was a down screen. Keon and Levine went with Kyrie Irving. Nobody stayed with Spencer. And there you go. That's what happens.
Dinwiddie's wide open. Look at him.
Dinwiddie hits the three. Keon ends up rushing back, and then Dinwiddie comes up, hits another three right after that. So it's been a combination of just these miscommunications, guys not being on the same page.
And look at the bottom of your screen in the corner. I mean, you want to talk about sloughing off your man. I'm okay with that, but that's way too much. Well, I know that's on the weak side. I get that. But, I mean, if that ball goes to Dinwiddie, which it did, and he makes a quick pass in a corner, is that enough? Is that enough time to recover?
No, it's not. And Jamar was not expecting Keon to be coming down. This was supposed to be a switch, and nobody switched. So Jamar's coming over to just give that flash help on Irving at the hoop. So it's the little things like that that are the big things for this team, and get a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie going. 16 points for Dinwiddie.
Well, I will tell you, my time of covering the NBA, Spencer Dinwiddie always seems to kill the Kings. Always. I remember going to Brooklyn and just like, oh boy, he would like torch Sacramento. He loves playing against the Kings for whatever reason.
Seems like that list of guys is growing, Napes.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy. All right, buddy. We'll look forward to talking about this, and we'll see if the Kings can light the beam at the conclusion of this. Hey, everyone, please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Takes a second. We appreciate that. And we'll be back with you after the game. Enjoy the second half, everybody. Bye-bye now.